Hi guys. No, I just want to say it's great to be here. It's been really a nice time for me here, and you guys have been great. Very nicely organized. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope to be back soon.
Okay, so who has questions? Right here.
Question. Knowing you're an accomplished martial artist, do you still keep up with your martial arts, and do you still practice every week or something? Do you have a program that you're into?
About my training. Well, I don't do as much crazy stuff as I used to as a martial artist. You know, you get older, you got to watch out for injuries and stuff. But since this is my job now, you know, my body, it's my career. But I do practice. Well, I do train every day pretty much. I don't do as much martial arts. I hit the bag now, more pads. I don't spar as much, and but I, you know, go to events and try to keep up with it and support different organizations. So hang in there, yeah. Thank you.
We'll go right here.
Hi, Dolph. So I'm a huge fan of Showdown in Little Tokyo. So when you were working on that film and working with the legendary Brandon Lee, was there anything that you guys learned from each other? Like and just working with each other, and also with the martial arts, just anything, your whole experience with that film.
Okay, about Showdown. Yeah, you know, it was interesting because I think that I just done, I think I done Red Scorpion or something like before that, and I got the script. It was a Warner Brothers picture, and then I was introduced to this kid, Brandon Lee. But I didn't realize that his father was Bruce Lee. It took me a while. Somebody told me, and I was like, oh, shit, okay. Okay, that was interesting. And it was funny thing was I had this trainer from England, my sensei, Brian Fitkin. He was a karate champion, and, you know, who I trained with since I was 15. And we had like one set, we had a workout together, one of our first workouts, and Brandon was warming up in front of the mirror. And, you know, I was training with Brian, and he had his trainer. Brandon has some famous karate guy from LA. I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, so Brandon asked Brian, you know, because what do you think, what do you think of my techniques? And Brian, you know, said something like, I think you should stick to your kicks. Your hand techniques are a bit weak, or something. And he was like shattered, you know. He's like, every scene we did, he was like throwing in kicks everywhere. But he was a nice kid. I had a good time on that picture, and I think it was really sad, because his dad passed away at 30 something, and then he got about 2 years later. I got a call. I was in a different film, and somebody told me, he had an accident on set and he died. So, but I learned from him was that he had that Bruce Lee kind of charm, like that. His acting style was very like his dad, so I'm sure he would have been a great star had he not been in an accident. So it was a bit sad, but some good memories for me anyway.
One thing I wanted to say, a lot of times when we have a guest, we've had cancellations because of filming and things like that. One thing that's been happening behind the scenes that Dolph can tell you, 3 days ago, Dolph was in Rome shooting a film, and he still was able, we manipulated some flights around and things like that. He jumped through hoops in order to make the appearance here. And that's like, sometimes you see people complain.
Thank
This
you.
guy did everything he could to be here this weekend. So thank you. Yeah. Just some behind the scenes, you hear a lot of people complaining that, stars have to cancel convention appearances for film. This man had every reason to do that, and he made it work, so I really appreciate it.
Thanks. I think it's important for me every time I go to these conventions to meet fans, face to face, because it's kind of can be a very impersonal business as well, where you're kind of sheltered from the public to some extent, and it's really nice to meet you guys. And, get the love, and I know why I'm in this business. Really, I want to meet you guys. I realize it.
So I have one question for you. How hard did you really hit Sylvester Stallone?
Well,
I've heard that story.
I could have hit him harder. I didn't mean to hurt him. Back in those days, I was a powerful young man, and but we hit each other a little bit, especially to the body, pretty hard because of some of the scenes. And he was directing and acting as well. Neither of us had a stunt double, so he got hurt there in one of the fights. I mean, I didn't notice when we were shooting. We shot that stuff in Vancouver because you couldn't go to Russia in those days. It was the Cold War, and I came back to LA, and the producer calls me up, and says, "Hey, Dolph, you got 2 weeks off," and I was like, "Oh, yes." Why? He's like, "Sly's in the hospital."
Was it true he said like that he wanted to like really go at it for like a half a round or whatever it was?
Yeah, we did some of that. Yeah, yeah, for sure. A lot of that was ad lib,
Yeah.
A lot of that fight with him, a lot of those throws when I tossed him across the ring, he just told me to throw him across the ring, whatever it was. He's funny like that. I mean, I just, as I'm talking, I recall in Expendables 1, when, my character is kind of a good guy, bad guy. And anyway, I have this fight with Jet Li, and then I get shot, and it's Stallone, he shoots me in the shoulder. But anyway, so I'm there on my deathbed. Anyway, we shoot the scene, and he's over me. I'm supposed to give him some information. Come on, Gunner, tell me who it was, whatever it is. And then, so I start delivering the dialogue that's in the script, and he says, cameras are rolling, he goes, "Tell me, say I want a Viking funeral." And I'm like, open one eye, like, what? Say, I want a Viking funeral. So it ended up in the movie.
Okay, who else had a question? We'll go right here.
Could you talk some more about fighting Jet Li in The Expendables?
Oh yeah, Jet Li. Yeah, it was interesting because he had 3 doubles. They all looked like him. See, they weren't sure if it was Jet. They were definitely close. No, it was fun. It was interesting because he had a fight coordinator who came in from Hong Kong, and they designed his fight, and we started rehearsing it and shot it. We started shooting, shot for almost half a day, and then Sly shows up and changes the whole thing. He looks at the monitor, "What the hell is this?" And then, I think the final fight was much better because the original was a little too martial artsy. It was a little too Hong Kong. And the funniest, the first take, Jet, by mistake hits me in the jaw, right? So I don't really react much. I'm used to it. But he was a bit, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then next scene, there's a scene where I have to put my small knife that's for little family, this big, against Jet's throat. So I'm ready to rehearse, and the stunt coordinator comes up, "Show me, how are you going to do that?" And I'm like this. "Can you show me again? Do you mind showing me?" It's like, "What do you think, I'm going to cut his throat?" Well, Jet was a little worried, his people. I was going to take revenge on that.
Okay, right here.
Just curious as to how you went about preparing the Drago, not just in the ring, but out, and having to do it again.
Oh, you're talking about Drago, this second film now, Creed 2.
About the first one, and if there was like any difference towards the second.
Yeah, the first one and Creed 2, right? Well, the first one, it was 35 years ago, and I was playing a young athlete, and I was a young athlete. And the second time around now, last year, it was a guy who's been through, had a rough life and been through a lot of stuff with his family and personal ups and downs. And obviously, I've had a lot of ups and downs in the business. I got divorced, I had problems with this and that, and so there was a lot of things I could use for this character that, he was, because Drago in the last picture is a guy who's sitting on a lot of anger and a lot of pain, right? So it was nice to be able to play that guy and to have some redemption at the end of the picture, I thought. After, 35 years of being hated by everybody for killing Apollo Creed, so it was about time. So I was like, thank you very much to the director.
Right here.
I thought you were great on the TV show Arrow.
Oh.
How was that? Do you have any stories to tell? Working with those people
Arrow, yeah, that was kind of the beginning of my little comeback where, Arrow, and then I did, Aquaman, and then Creed 2. Arrow was, they wrote this character for me actually, and they came to me. And it was kind of the second time I played a Russian. It was a different Russian than Drago. Drago was, he had like 4 words in the whole movie. Whereas, and he, this character in Arrow was kind of a gangster, so I don't think anybody caught me, but I decided to do like a Russian Marlon Brando, it's like speaking in Russian, but it's like this, it's like a Russian Marlon, I make you an offer you can't refuse. So it was kind of effective actually, especially when I was tired. I just saw Marlon Brando in front of me when I was delivering my Russian dialogue. He's always looking around and turning the back towards the camera, So I had a good time, and also it was great to work with those people up there. Very professional people. Thanks.
Any questions over here?
Of your career, were you ever offered something you passed up that you regretted, or you thought maybe I should have taken that?
Not much actually. I mean, there's one thing, kind of embarrassing episode. About 20 years ago, I got a script called Gladiator, and I looked at it and said, "What is this piece of crap?" I said, "No action." This is before Russell Crowe was involved, and the director, what's his name now? Ridley Scott. Yeah, but I thought there's a lot of dialogue, too much talk. So passed that one up.
Right here?
Command performance and directing. I directed about 4 or 5 films there up till about 2008. But then Stallone called me for Expendables, and then that took 6 years to do 3 of those. And then I got involved in this stuff now with Aquaman and Creed and all of that, and Arrow. But actually, the reason I was in Rome was to direct a picture as well, so I was working there as a director. So, I have a couple of projects, trying to, I realized with smaller independent films, I have more experience usually than anybody else on the film set. I realized that I might as well do it myself, especially the action stuff. And it's fun to do that too. It's kind of more satisfying in a different way.
How did you like, I know you did Masters of the Universe, and Skeletor was Frank Langella. I heard he loved doing that part because I think his son was into the cartoon series and all that. What was your experience with it?
Well, Frank, he was great, I mean, in those days, that makeup was very crude. They glued plastic rubber into your face for 3 hours every morning at 5 o'clock, and he was in that all day. And I think he was very expressive in doing that role. I mean, for me, it was kind of bizarre in one way. I went from this Russian bad guy, and my next film, was this heroic character, sort of like an American hero, I guess we could call him, at least for the kids, And I went to Radio City Music Hall when they announced the picture, and there was like 500 kids with little plastic swords. I don't have the power, screaming. And I was like, what am I getting myself into? And then my costume was the size of a stamp, It was just something in the front here, and that's it. So it was, it was tough for me. I had a lot of pressure to, play this character, and he was like a cartoon character, really. So, and it wasn't as well developed as now, where everybody wants to play a superhero. It was kind of not looked at in that way.
Yeah.
So it was.
I heard they ran out of money towards the end, and they had to raise money to finish the film.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the last fight there in the between me and Skeletor is like a finale in a big throne room, and they had actually they'd put 2 sound stages together. So it was one of the biggest sets that it was ever built, I think. It was huge, the original set. And they had, put the two sound stages together. But I think, you know, they were started running out of money. Suddenly there was like one sound stage. Everything was reduced in size, but it still looked good. I was a young kid then, you know, I just kind of got famous and I was interested in kind of going out and meeting young ladies and stuff like that. It wasn't just a movie.
So you wore your He-Man outfit to the clubs?
Well, I don't think I took it that far, but I probably should have. Yeah.
All right, right here.
You did a wonderful job as the original Punisher on film.
Yes.
Do you have any stories about that we might not know about?
Thank you, Punisher. Yeah, there was another one that I was somebody sent a bunch of comic books to my magazine, little comic magazines to my house, and they were this guy with his skull on his chest. I didn't know anything about it, but I ended up doing the film in Australia, and a lot of George Miller's people from Mad Max and what was the second one? Mad Max 2, whatever it was called. Road Warrior, yeah, we're doing the costumes and stuff, so they're quite similar. I think that's one reason they took the skull off, because the costume designer is this woman. She did Mad Max, and you know she wanted to do it her way, which I know people get upset. Some people get upset about that, but yeah, I mean it was an interesting shoot. It was another company that went down. I think it was New World Pictures. Yeah. Went under at the end of that shoot. So it was like, oh, not another one, but. They brought these two guys in from Japan to fight me. There were two Kyokushin karate fighters, two young guys, early 20s. And they came in from Tokyo, and they looked at me when they first met me, and the one guy said, in Japanese, one guy said, I think he had one guy spoke a little bit of English, he put his hand up, like, and I was like, okay, what is it? He wants you to kick his hand to see how hard you kick, you know. They thought it was like a real fight, you know. They didn't know it was a movie, and that they had to pull their punches, and you know. So I'm fighting these guys, and finally I think I ended up killing both of them. But one guy was crying, you know, because he didn't want to die. He just changed his mind because his family is dishonoring his family back in Japan. It was an interesting experience. But Robert Kamen wrote the script, you know, who wrote. Karate Kid, he wrote Taken, for instance, and a lot of big movies. It was a pretty good script. But in the original film, you know, you see the family get tortured and killed. That's how I become the Punisher. And there was a long sequence that was cut out of the final picture. And I was really upset because there was a high fall. I mean, I can't remember, there was some action sequence, and I jump into this. I decided to do it myself because I had nothing to do, I guess, that day. It was stupid. And I jumped into this airbag, which, you know, I don't think any actors do it these days, maybe not even back then, but it was cut out of the movie, and I was like, God damn it. Yeah. Still have a little kink in my back from it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, in the back of the room there?
Yeah. You're talking about Rocky IV. Mm-hmm. You know, well, first I didn't have a script. I mean, I was auditioning for it and I was turned down. I was too tall. You know, they told me immediately, they were, how tall are you? 6'4", whatever. Too tall. Next. So I sent off pictures just alone. He got 8x10 in boxing gear, and then I was flown into LA about 6 months later and met him. And then I got just one little monologue that I had to memorize, which is the one they used in the teaser trailer. It's like, my name is Drago. I'm a fighter from the Soviet Union. It starts like that, right? And there's a camera that moves in, and it goes up my boots and comes up to the shorts, and you see me. And I never saw the script until I was hired to do the movie, you know. I did a screen test in LA. That was another 6 months later because I had to put on some weight. I had to lift weights because I was kind of wiry. I was a fighter, so it wasn't that muscular. And I came to Los Angeles and stayed in some cheap hotel. They stuck me in there. And I went down to have breakfast in the morning. And I was afraid to eat anything because, you know, I knew I had to, you know, take my shirt off. And then elevator opens, there's a 6'5" blonde guy looking at me. Excuse me, it's a big Russian dude. And then I see another one down there at breakfast, and I'm like, okay, I guess there's a few more people left here. So I auditioned with these two Russians, and they had decided to do like a Russian Mr. T. I must kill you, I will break you, you know. And I just kept it internal. I decided to just keep it internal and just, you know, my name is Drago, just keep it in the eyes. And then I got the part, Stallone called me, and then I got the script. And then, you know, look, I was an unemployed actor in New York, you know, working on the door. I was like throwing out people into the street, into the snow as a living, so I didn't care if I had one line. That was, sorry, man. Yeah, I didn't care if I had one line or 1,000 lines, you know, I wasn't gonna turn it down. So I think what was cool, you know, David Carpenter's, I think, said, you know, in motion pictures, if you can do anything without dialogue, it's a much better choice. So sometimes if you talk less, that's the character people look at, almost like in real life. So it turned out pretty well. Thanks.
Right here.
Amen. I Come in Peace. Yeah, that's an underrated kind of fun movie. You know, it was directed by this guy who was a stunt coordinator, who was a famous stunt coordinator. I'm trying to remember his name now. Probably somebody here knows it. But all his brothers, Baxter, right? Craig Baxley. And his dad was a stunt coordinator, all his brothers were stunt coordinators, stuntmen. So they brought a lot of people in there to do free, to work for free over low rates. And no, it's a great film. I think it's got some great stunts in there. We had this great big East German decathlete who played the alien drug dealers. Yeah, the alien drug dealer. And there's an alien cop in it too, you know. Interesting story. Anyway, so he had to do all his own stunts because he was too big. You couldn't find a guy to double him. And they gave him these big shoes to make him taller, and their shoes about this thick, and they weigh about 5 pounds each, right? So he could hardly walk, this poor guy. Then he had to do this one stunt when he's jumping from car to car, and they blow the cars up after him. And these are real explosions, the real deal. I mean, no effects, no CGI. Nobody knew what CGI was, and he had to, I think he ran through 10 cars, and then he jumps into the water. And he just decided to do it. I will do it myself. You know, it's like, oh shit, he's going to get killed. So anyway, but he did it. He's still alive. I've seen him since. He still looks really good.
Both legs and everything?
Both legs are still there. I think so.
All right.
Yes.
Over here. With the hat on, yep.
Yeah. I've always loved the insanity of the character of Universal Soldier, and wanted to know if there was any wire work in any of the fight scenes with Jean-Claude Van Damme during the fight sequences, and if there was any mishaps during like the martial arts sequences.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, there was no wires in those days. People didn't know what that was. That came from China with John Woo, I think. So, no, Van Damme, he was, you know, a tremendous kicker. He did all those jump kicks himself. And we played, yeah, I did that crazy character, you know, the kind of Vietnam vet slash, you know, zombie slash, you know, whatever he is, cyborg or whatever. And I just remember as you were asking me that, we were staying in Vegas, you know, I was in a hotel in Vegas. We shot some of the stuff there, and I was rehearsing, I had the suite there, and I was rehearsing the scene. There's a scene in the supermarket when I go around going, yelling at the top of my lungs, like, there's no way to win this fucking war, you know, whatever it is, and yelling and screaming, you know, it's either kick ass or kiss ass, you know, and I'm in there with an acting friend of mine from LA, and I'm doing this scene for about an hour, and then there's a knock on the door. I'm like, who is it? I go, okay, goddamn, I go and open the door. There's like 4 Las Vegas cops out there, you know. 2 on this side. I never forget, 2 on this side. And they're like looking at me like, well, they thought we were gonna have to come down and shoot me, you know. And they're like, oh, sorry, sir, we had a call, there was some disruption going on. So I was close to getting plugged, I think, Sergeant Scott. Anyway.
Right here.
Thanks.
I just wanted to know for Creed 2, how did it come along? Like, were you surprised or is it surprised at all?
Yeah, you know what happened was about 2 years ago, I got a text from Stallone. You know, sometimes we text each other. Sometimes it was just something about, you want to play this guy again? Or whatever. It says something about sins of our fathers. I remember that, sins of our fathers. And I think it was Sly's idea, you know, to bring Drago back. Then I didn't hear much about it. Then there was then they hired a new director, a young director, you know, Stephen Cable. And I didn't really know much about the character. I was negotiating, but I wasn't really crazy about doing it because I figured they're just going to use the Drago image somehow and, you know, kind of as another bad Russian kind of one-dimensional guy. I already did that 35 years ago. And I thought maybe, you know, Drago should rest in peace back in the Cold War days in his red shorts. I didn't want to put those back on. But then I read the script and I met the director and realized, no, it's a real characterization. It's a human being here. It's a guy who has been through a lot. And it was a way for me to kind of express myself and kind of show some of my other side of my personality through this guy. So it worked out really well for me. And I was very excited about it when I finally got the part. I finally got to set. And the funny thing is I was training for it because I met my son as well, you know, the guy Florian, and he's this huge guy, you know, 240, all muscles, 27 years old. So I think, shit, I better get in shape, you know, because you have to fight this guy. Who knows? You know, I hadn't read the script. And then finally, of course, I get to Philly. We were shooting in Philly, and you know, and all my clothes are like 4 sizes too big, so to make me look kind of old. And so it didn't seem any muscles at all. But it didn't matter really for the character. It was more an internal performance. Okay.
I was surprised to see Britt in it. I didn't expect that he would bring her back.
Yeah, I didn't either. You know, it was a great idea, I thought. And in the original first draft, it was Apollo came back, or like his ghost or something. It was a little hokey, you know. So I think it was much better to bring Bridget back. I mean, you know, my boss in the old ones, Mr. Stallone, married her, so I don't think they'd seen each other for 35 years either, for 30 years or something, because I know
And she was
pretty
pregnant,
much sucks.
right?
She was
pregnant while on
she was
film.
pregnant when we shot. Yeah, she was the oldest pregnant woman ever, I guess, recorded. I Googled it. It was 62 and she was 56, so close to the record.
I thought it was great when she gets up and walks out again. It's like, wow. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I really liked
It's
it.
pretty emotional, and I think it was great to bring her back. She's a lovely lady and, you know, very nice woman.
Yeah, very well received. It's a great movie. Right here.
Masters of the Universe. Well, that, you know, that studio, there was another company I went under. Or did I? How many have I been part of? Oh, that's we spoke about that. That was Canon Films. I don't think there was any talk about the sequel then because they had a lot of problems, the company itself. But then I've heard about rebooting it for like 10 years. You know, I met a writer who was working on it. He wanted to write a part in it for me, or whatever it was. This is 10 years ago. Or 7, 8 years ago, maybe. But I hear now it's being done. You know, there was never any talk of a sequel because I think, you know, people were a little bit. There was a bad feeling there at the end of the production because the lack of funds and stuff. Even though the film has had some good legs. I think that it kind of grows on people, and it's always there, and especially. In England, it's huge, for instance. You know, people love that movie there. So it would be that would be the second most kind of well-known film that I've been in England. Here would be Rocky and probably Expendables and Aquaman now, but in there it's masters.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's done well all over the world.
Okay, we're going to take a couple more questions right here.
What was your experience working Aquaman?
Well, it was my second audition. The first audition was Rocky IV. I told you about that, and the second one was Aquaman, which I did like a year and a half ago, I guess. So it was interesting to be in a very big movie, biggest film I've been in, biggest production. Obviously, shooting in Australia, they had 9 sound stages, the whole studio, which is one picture. And also a bit daunting for me. I was working with William Dafoe and Nicole Kidman, these people, and good actors, Patrick Wilson. And so I had to work on that character a lot, and I was wearing a helmet for most of it, a beard, and you couldn't see. I could hardly see out, and there's nothing to see anyway, because everything is done on a blue screen. You're hanging 30 feet up in this harness that you kind of pretend to float around, and you talk to people, and and the heavier you are, the more this harness cuts into a certain part of the male anatomy.
Oh.
So me and Jason Momoa, we're both about the same weight, 230. We were both, we were in pain a lot of the time, but I had to mention that because that's so stuck in my memory. But I had a good time, and I was very impressed by James Wan, the director, who was very talented, and it was kind of cool to be hired to play this dramatic role. I mean, like a political figure, really, in the picture. And so that was a step kind of in a different direction for me, which I really enjoyed. Thanks.
Right back here. Yeah, man.
Thank you for being here. I'm a big fan. After Creed 2, I think many people think this, could we see Drago again in the future, maybe not quite 35 years from now? And then also, will there be an Expendables 4, and will not be in it?
Okay. Well, I've heard that thing. Yes, people say, "Oh, the Dragos. We got to see them, more of them now." But who knows? I mean, I think the movie's called Creed, so it's about Adonis Creed. So wherever he goes, that's where the film's going to go. And I don't know if it'll include Ivan Drago or not, but I don't really. It'd be nice to do it again, but I feel like there's a certain closure there in 35 years, and the character we kind of can leave him now in one way. With Expendables, that's a bit different because those characters are, they're kind of, they're more light, they're lighter characters, and I think there was a talk about Expendables 4 last year, but then Stallone ended up doing Rambo instead, and the new Rambo. So I don't know. I think if there is another one, it'll probably be a little more like the first one. I think it'll be R for sure, R-rated, and it will be fewer guys and a little heavier, a little more like when Gunner, takes his warning shot and the guys, just the boots are left to the guy, right? That type of, I read the original script, and only Stallone can come up with that kind of stuff. Like every weapon is described like it was the model, Mark V with this type of adapt. I mean, he's crazy with his guns and knives and research, and that's what's beautiful about that picture. You got to keep it there, I think.
That's because he's from Philly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Is he? Yeah.
He's from South Philly.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's crazy. There's a little violence in the air around here. Felt it.
All right, we'll take a question here.
What was it like to coach the Olympics?
Oh yeah. I was the actually team leader of the U.S. pentathlon team in 1996. There's a coach and a team leader. Team leader is the guy who, he kind of in charge of the team, reports to the USOC, sets up the meetings, the training schedule, and all of that stuff. It was really great. It was I got involved because I did a picture called Pentathlon, and there were 2 U.S. Olympic athletes in it training me for the film, and those guys wanted me to help to kind of bring up the visibility of that sport. And it's a great sport. It's been in the Olympics since the beginning, since 1996. And, there was a young U.S. lieutenant, first lieutenant who came 5th in Stockholm, 1912. His name was George Patton. So there you go. It's got some good memories in there, and I enjoyed it very much. Muhammad Ali was carrying the torch. To see him there was really terrific as well, for sure.
Okay, we're going to take one more question. Who's got a good one? You got a good one?
I think I do.
Okay. You're on the hook now.
It's not a rocky question, sorry. You would think so.
No. It's
So I've always enjoyed your movies. Your acting, great. I've always enjoyed your movies and your acting, but I gotta say, when you do Expendables,
Wait.
we take two. We'll take this guy first, yeah. You got two guys here. You can duke it out. You both boxing here. Okay, there he is.
Winner gets the question.
He looks dangerous though.
His
I
hand.
hope you've been
He
training.
knows his shit.
Okay. Okay. What is it?
always enjoyed your acting,
Thanks.
your movies. I gotta say, when Expendables came out, it seemed like, I don't know, you stepped up another notch. Your portrayal of Gunner in that movie. Did you do anything extra to prepare your acting? Because it seemed like you were actually superior.
Well, that's about the time actually where I started doing some therapy. If I want to get into it in depth, on the personal level, I had a lot of trauma as a kid. I had problems with my dad. A lot of shit. Reason I became a fighter and all of that, and an actor. And I didn't really. I kind of just hijacked that emotion. I didn't really work on it, but you have to really get rid of it to be able to use it fully. And I think now I feel I'm more ready to take on roles like that. But it started with Gunner, actually. It started with that role. That's when I started working on myself a little more. And I think, now I have it's a little more fun to work now because you're not kind of, a slave to those emotions. You can use them, but you don't have to suffer from them as much. So that's why I did that. Yeah.
And you were actually had a degree in chemical engineering? Or?
Yeah, I had a master's in chemical engineering. That's why I came to America to study, to go to MIT. But I also done some acting as a kid, and I got stuck in. I met some girl in New York, so there was a woman involved, and she got me into the entertainment business, kind of because I met people like Andy Warhol and all those guys, Michael
Grace
Jackson,
Jones.
people like that. And I got kind of stuck into it that way.
Okay. All right, we'll take that question in the back, and that'll be it.
You've had a lot of unique characters like Andrew, Scott, Universal, Gunner, and Expendables. Has any of those characters you've had any ad-lib lines? Have you got to add any lines of your own?
Add lines of my own for those characters.
Ad-lib.
Ad lib. Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I mean, with Expendables, Stallone is the writer, so kind of work with him a little bit on that. That one is in Universal Soldier. Yeah, I think usually you tweak the dialogue. Once you do it full blast, emotion with full emotion, you kind of, you see what works and what doesn't, and then editing, you can tweak it as well. But as a matter of fact, I like very naturalistic type of movies where dialogue is a little more ad lib. So the film I was doing in Rome that I'm just going to direct there, and I'm working on the script. I try to give characters a chance to speak in their own words to the script, because it's not Shakespeare. Usually, you don't have to hit everything. As long as the relationships are between the characters are interesting. It doesn't matter really how you say it. And I think some of the best films have that feeling. A lot of great directors do that, like Martin Scorsese and Clint Eastwood as well. And people just let the actors do their thing. So that's the way I'd like to direct films.
What's on the horizon for you as far as films?
On the horizon, well, there's not that much really, because I was working on that Rome picture for a while, and I love Italy, great pasta and all, but the organizational skills are a little bit weak sometimes, so I'm trying to put that film together, and I've been working on it for a year and a half. But I have some offers for other things, and also I was looking at the TV a little bit to try to I had some idea, I get offered a couple of interesting kind of characters there. But really, what I like to try to do is to stay in the action genre to some extent, but try to play more, try to play characters a little more humanized, a little more better, well drawn, a little kind of developed, and I like that both my last picture was about redemption and forgiveness, because I think those are really important today in this world, the crazy world we live in, so if I can do anything there to show, to kind of lead the way to some extent, at least as an artist, I'd like to do so.
All right, Dolph, ladies, everybody, let's have a big round of applause for Mr. Dolph Lundgren. Thank you, sir.